Hello YouTube. I'm going to be making maybe a series, at least a one tutorial about how I sculpt my figurines, sculptors, whatever you want to call them. There's I picked the character Kylo Ren from the new Star Wars movies. Which we are sculpting. The first part will be the bottom half of the character. I will be using two popsicle sticks. You can use any kind of wood in this, since the temperature where we are going to bake the figurine won't be enough to hurt the wood in any kind. You can use either Sculpey firm or just regular Sculpey. I probably will be using Sculpey firm for the legs and original Sculpey for the dress part. But without more talking, let's start with making the leg positions. I'm going to snap this in half. Just get some warmth into the clay. I do have the tools that I'm using are just wooden stick with I have personally sharpened edge, and then I have pro edge cutter. I have also a pasta maker that I might be using for the dress, but that's just some extra. You don't need that. You can just use your hands or some round tool to make the clay as a blade. The Sculpey firm is the only problem that I have with it is that it's so hard at least in here Finland, it's even inside it's a little bit cold, like on the winter like this. So this clay is very hard since it gets a little bit cold. These are, by the way, polymer clay. If you aren't familiar with Super Sculpey, they are basically the same as Fimo, and I don't remember what this Inca Gold has made some kind of clay too. Okay, let's start. Just create a okay. The wood is there to make it stick together when it's melting a little bit in the oven. if you're making something thicker, you might want to use aluminum foil to buff out the insides, like just make a ball of aluminum foil or cylinder, any kind of shape you're making, and because the clay will be raw from the inside if you don't buff the insides. Picking up some clay. This will be our first leg. The reason why I picked this character, Kylo Ren has there's a little bit of everything. There's fine tight details in arms and legs, but then there's loose cloth and a little bit of edges in the clothing. So, and the mask, there's some fine details in the mask, so I think this will be pretty perfect character with because I was thinking something from the Witcher series, which I've been playing now. I was checking out the bestiary, and but I couldn't find anything in there that would have a lot of different kind of elements. It would be just making the one and the same. Because after all, it's this hobby is more of an endurance test. In most cases, that is, there's just a lot of repeating the same tactic. Using a little bit curved tool. You can get this from, I would presume, from any hobby shop store. I think I bought like a set of 5 of these two-ended tools, and it cost around 5-6 euros. There's our first leg. I'm going to pick up some aluminum foil. This is just the same thing that you would use if you're cooking. Just crunch it tight. This will be our waist. You can also, by the way, microwave your sculpture if it's too hard. Just connecting these parts. I want to make rotate this, cover the whole end of the aluminum foil. Here I will be connecting the, you can add some more in there if you just pull and drag it over to the leg. You can push the clay a little bit over to the torso piece too, like that. Most of the time I'm just using my index finger to pull and push. Start the another leg. Let's check the leg length is pretty much the same. Just push and pull it as long as until it's solid. Then we have to decide what kind of pose we want. Checking some reference pictures of the character. I'm taking a small piece and using it as a contact piece here. Just adding it there and tool or my finger or both to connect. Will be something like this. The right leg will be straightened up a little bit, but it goes longer, and the left leg will have like this. I'm adding some more there, just a little bit, like that. Smoothing it out with my finger. Always try to think about what parts are going to be visible in the end, as this will be mostly covered by the cloth, so there isn't so much matter if there's some kind of errors here, for example, since the cloth will be over to the knee at least, and then maybe drag from to the floor there. rolling it in my hand to make it a little bit warmer, because I need it to be a little bit soft to be able to connect with the upper part. I wanted to do this, you could have done the whole leg and a little bit out of focus there, and then connected to the torso, but I think it's easier to pose when you have one leg in there and then just add the second leg. It's easier to make it more when you position the first leg and then you add the second leg, you can position it well here. I'm actually going to take a little bit of the original Sculpting, because it's a lot softer. That's the only difference. It's a lot softer. So if you don't have both, just keep in mind that firm is a lot tougher. The firm one is the gray, and the original, the beige colored, it's a lot softer. You can mix them. They have the exact the same properties, but of course the firm is easier when you're doing a high detail character. I'm going to push this in and pull the edges like this, like creating a crown, adding like that. Just pinch it together. The most important part is now to just to connect the parts. You can make them better after the connection. I just want it to be steady now. Yep. Now we are getting some metal wire. Some strong metal wire is needed now, since the figurine is larger than I accepted, or I wasn't going to make it as large as it is, but since it's so large, we are going to need some help keeping it up until it's baked. We are. I'm going to make in between bakes for the character, just because it's much easier to work on. After I have the lower part somewhat positioned, I will bake it, and then I will be adding more details over the pre-baked one. Keep in mind, don't bake it completely when it's just pre-baking, because it might crack after the extra bakings then. Make a circle at the end of the wire. You can also make the wood that I put inside the legs. You can use wire armature in there if you want. I sometimes use wire armature too, but I have a little bit grown out of that habit. If I'm making wings or something like that, then I usually do. But often I just making this the size that can sit on the wire. The wire will be against the aluminum foil, and since I've put the aluminum foil in a tight position, it will be enough to hold against the. There we go. Again, I'm using the original Sculpting. I'm now just adding a little bit. I'm just going to widen the leg from here. As you can see, it's very thin over there. Just add some there and gently push, because now it's in most fragile form. You can easily rip out the leg. A little bit out of the back, because it just looks like he has a giant ass like that. Okay, we are still going to add the toe tips, or the feet itself. I'm going to use firm again. After that, I'm going to cut this video here and be continuing another time when I have pre-baked this, what we have now done. I'm not going to do the boot now, I'm just adding the what I want there to be inside. Then I'm adding a tiny layer over this one and detailing that as the boot. Now I just want it to this is like when you're drawing and just sketching with your pencils. After that you wanna start adding more layers and details. I have a picture open about the character where his legs are in this stance in the movie. Again, pushing my finger like this to create a crown, and using that. Taking a little bit off because it's much larger than. And this doesn't need to be large because we are adding layer. We can take out, but we can always add. Taking it off from the stand. Check out that everything is somewhat good. I'm gonna rotate this towards you now. Having a little bit problem with the right leg here. This should be a stance where the figurine is able to stand after it's baked without the help of a wire. actually taking a little bit of a wire and sticking it up the knee there. Just in case it decides to pull down it when it's in the oven. Won't be the first time. Show this to you. How it looks from the front. We'll be adding more clay here, and the cloth will be tricking there, so that's another kind the kind of part that you can't see on the finished product. So I dropped a piece of clay somewhere. For now, I'm gonna cut this video here. This was the part 1 of making Kylo Ren figurine. Thank you for watching, and now I'm going to put this onto the oven for to 120 Celsius for about 15 to 20 minutes, because I don't want it to be well baked. Because I will be baking it over and over again, so that way I help it not to crack. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for episode 2.